All right, let's talk about a skill we all think we've got down, but very few of us have actually mastered: reading. And look, I'm not just talking about knowing what the words on a page mean. This is about something much bigger: how to turn raw information into real, deep, lasting understanding. Let's dive in. Come on, be honest with me. Have you ever gotten to the bottom of a page, or maybe even a whole chapter, and you have that sinking feeling? You realize you have absolutely zero idea what you just read. Yeah, we've all been there. And that right there is the huge difference between passive reading, where you just let your eyes skim the words, and active reading, where you truly engage with the text. I love the analogy our source material gives us here. It says passive reading is like just standing there, getting hit with information like it's a blow. Oof. But active reading? That's like being a pro baseball catcher. You're poised, you're ready, you're an active participant ready to catch every single idea the author throws your way. One literally puts your mind to sleep, the other wakes it up and gets it working. Now, part of the problem is just the world we live in, right? It's an age of total information overload. We are constantly just getting bombarded with facts and data and headlines and hot takes. You'd think it'd make us all geniuses, but a lot of the time, it just feels like we're drowning. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Simply consuming more stuff isn't the answer. The real skill we need to build isn't just about collecting facts. It's about forging real, genuine understanding from them. So what exactly are we even aiming for here? Well, the source defines reading for understanding as this incredible act of self-elevation. Just listen to that phrase: a mind elevates itself by its own power. How cool is that? It's not about someone teaching you. It's the art of teaching yourself, using nothing but the symbols on a page. It's like pulling yourself up by your own intellectual bootstraps. So how do we actually do it? How do we make that leap from just seeing words to actually understanding? Well, the book lays out this really clear, really powerful framework for us. Think of it like a ladder we can climb to become a better reader. The 4 levels of reading. Okay, let's just quickly walk through these. Level 1, elementary reading. That's just figuring out what a sentence says. Honestly, most of us stop right there. Level 2 is inspectional reading. That's getting the gist of a whole book fast. Level 3 is analytical reading, where you really, as it says, chew and digest it. And then at the very top, you've got syntotopical reading, where you're comparing big ideas across multiple books. You see how each level builds on the one before it? Now look, we're not going to master all 4 levels in the next few minutes, but what we can do is unlock a practical superpower, like right now. We're going to focus on level 2, inspectional reading. This is your secret weapon for tackling pretty much any nonfiction book and getting its core message in about an hour, seriously. And this isn't about just randomly flipping through pages hoping for the best. No, inspectional reading is a real method with 2 very distinct parts, something called systematic skimming, and another thing the book calls superficial reading. Okay, so the key here is that it's a system. I want you to think of yourself as a detective, and the book is your case. First, you're going to examine the title and the preface. What's the author even trying to do here? Next, study the table of contents like it's a roadmap to the whole argument. Then, hit the index. Look for key terms that show up again and again. After that, you find what seem to be the most important chapters and just read their opening and closing paragraphs. And finally, just thumb through the whole thing, dipping in here and there, paying special attention to the very end. This process gives you the entire skeleton of the book before you've even read page 1. Now the second part, superficial reading. This is a total game changer. And the rule feels completely wrong at first, but trust me on this. When you read a difficult book for the first time, read it all the way through without stopping. Don't get stuck on words you don't know or ideas you don't quite get. Your goal is just to get the overall flow. This one simple trick is what stops us from getting frustrated and just giving up on tough but rewarding books. Okay, so once you've inspected a book and you've decided, yep, this is worth a deeper dive, you move up to analytical reading. This is where you don't just borrow a book's ideas, you truly make them your own. It's about having a real conversation with the author. And how do you have that conversation with an author who might have been dead for 200 years? Well, the essence of active analytical reading is actually pretty straightforward. You've just got to ask the right questions as you read. First things first, question 1. What is this book about as a whole? You need to be able to state the single main point of the entire book in just a sentence or 2. What is its one big overarching theme? Okay, next up, question 2. What is being said in detail, and how is the author saying it? This is where you outline the main arguments. How are they building their case? What are their key claims, and what's the logic that holds it all together? Then, It's your turn. After you are sure you understand what the author is saying, you have a duty to judge it. Is it true? Do you agree? Disagree? And why? This is where you start to form your own mind on the subject, not just parrot someone else's. And finally, we come to what might be the most important question of all. What of it? So what? Why does this book matter? If it's true, what does that mean for you, for your life, for how you see the world? Now, answering these 4 questions isn't just some abstract mental exercise. To do it right, you have to physically make the book your own. And yeah, that means getting out a pen. Underline stuff, circle key words, and most importantly, write your own questions and ideas and arguments right there in the margins. This isn't defacing a book. It's the very act of having that conversation. It's a sign of respect. So, what is the big takeaway from all of this? I think it's this. Being a great reader is not some magical talent you're born with. It's a skill. It is an art. And just like any other art, it is something that can be learned and mastered with a little bit of deliberate practice. The book gives us this one last perfect analogy. Reading is like skiing. I mean, think about it. When you're first starting out, it's awkward, right? You're consciously thinking about every single tiny movement. It's frustrating. But you stick with it, you practice, and eventually, all those separate little actions just merge into one smooth, graceful, and honestly, super enjoyable flow. That's what great reading feels like. By making that shift, by going from being a passive target to an active catcher of meaning, you completely transform reading from just an activity into a true art form. So the only question left for you is this: what great book will you decide to truly understand next?